Those who always call instead of text. Why? The only person I instinctively call rather than text is my wife, and it's usually just because I want to hear her voice. Sounds like my fiancé. I've seen him literally ignore calls and texts, but anytime I text him, he will text me back asking if I can call. When I call him, he sounds so happy to hear me, and I love him so much. I'ma go give him a hug. Her fiancé sounds like my boyfriend. Like he's always been kinda bad with replying to others but never with me, and I love it. And yeah, we always wanna call over texting. What's your number and I'll call you and we can talk about it? Clicked on this comment thread to find this or type it. Excellent. I call if I need an information right now. If it can wait, I'll text. Exactly what I do and what I tell people who are my contacts. Don't text me if you need an answer instantly. If you call and I don't pick up, try the home phone or a work phone. I choose not to, but often don't get to keep my phone with me in all my workplaces. It's easier and faster to have a conversation in 2 minutes than to text back and forth for 15. Exactly. Phone for quick synchronous communication, texting for slower asynchronous communication. Both have their advantages, but calls are just easier if you want to convey a large amount of information quickly and both of you are free at the same time. I'm glad you said, both of you are free at the same time. I hate calls because it's like the person calling assumes I am not doing anything, and I can just spend the next unknown amount of time taking in large amounts of information on a whim. Less likely to be misunderstood. And misunderstandings are quicker to resolve than through a long clarifying text chain. I hate texting and being legally blind. It's hard to do and too. Despite adding hashtags, sarcasm is hard to convey via text. I am legally blind as well, and I just like hearing a voice, to be honest. To torture introverts. Nice try. Introverts don't answer the phone. I have a philosophy in life with anything. Emails, letters, phone calls, etc. If it's important, it'll happen twice. In times like these, I love hearing my friends' voices. It feels more real than a text message. Talking is faster than typing. You underestimate my power. Don't try it. It's pretty much instantaneous instead of hoping said person wants to respond. Flip side, I'm that person that they're hoping is going to respond. A call for this. A call for that. Another call. Call again. All for small little things that can easily be handled over an email or a text. If it's something that actually needs a conversation to hash out, that's fine. If it's something that actually urgent, that's fine, but if you're just updating me that the new client is a go, or that they gave the go-ahead on the materials we presented, or little things like that, email or text it. This serves two purposes. 1. There's a record of it now and I can reference that later if I need to. Asterisk, every time I have to pick up the phone for one of those little things you could have texted me about, I have to stop what I'm doing. Asterisk, when one person is calling me 10 to 15 times a day instead of texting or emailing when appropriate, I don't get beep done. I type and talk all day for a living. If I want to have a conversation, I'm not writing you a book. Just answer your phone. And I type and talk all day, so when I want to communicate with someone I'm going to talk instead of type. What? Because conversations over text take all beep day. Texting memes and general updates to people is fine. But if I actually need to arrange something or need some information, I'll always call. Usually because I'm in the car and can't text. Because I am old. Okay, are you happy now? I am old. I'm old. I'm walking. Unsu unshine woo-ah. In my 20s, but prefer calling to texting when I need to get results as soon as possible. Sometimes people who will spend an entire day to respond to a text will immediately pick up if I call. 1. I'm old. 2. I do text short MSGs, but longer conversations get a call. 3. Long text messages that arrive in 7 parts, in random order, annoy me. To remind the introverts that anxiety is only a phone call away. On a more serious note, I only call my wife and dad. Wife because I look forward to hearing her voice, and I've called her on my way home from work nearly every day for 6 years of marriage and like 4 years of dating. She's my best friend and soulmate, and I'm always eager to share how our days have gone, catch up on funny stuff the kids did, or even just make sure she knows I love her and I missed her that day. I don't have the strength to make it home without reminding her how I feel, and I exclusively respond with hello, my love when she answers, which is effectively my pet name for her. My dad, because he simply refuses to text except to say to call him, lol. He's in his 70s, so I let him have it. His texting rate is about 1 text an hour anyway, so it'd take all day just to tell me it's gonna rain tomorrow. This is what my husband does. Same greeting too. We'll be married 25 years at the end of this month. May you enjoy as many with your bride. So the person will answer. Because I don't have time to wait for you to not reply. Because I can say it a lot more reliably than I can type it on a tiny beep touchscreen keyboard. Better to hear voices than read words. Texting can turn a 5-minute convo into an hour-long session when people are doing other things. Texting someone who is busy sucks. Texts are good for some interactions, but phone calls fill a totally different void. I am a businessman, so calls solve more beep than any text, plus you can convey your feelings more openly. Sometimes it's easier to explain something, or even quicker when calling. It's a faster and more efficient way to get information across. I don't mind receiving texts, but it takes too long to type a reply. Then when I do reply, the person texts me again and I have to respond again. Why not just have a brief conversation if there's going to be a lot of back and forth? It's easier and quicker to get your point across. Because I'm a professional and I have beep to do. It forces an immediate reply and conveys intricacies of situations faster. But if it's no rush, I'll text, and certain people prefer text, so I tend to text them. Simple. Because there's nothing more straightforward than a call. Societal conventions aside, texting is just another layer to the already exhausting expectation that people need to be in constant communication with one another. It's like if two people in a room had the choice to either swap partial post-it note snippets back and forth with each other at inconsistent intervals, or speak normally. That's pretty much what texting is to the digital age. I don't think anyone under the age of 60 only calls, but I call it a lot of the time because it's just so much easier to deal with some things in actual time. For instance, making plans with people can take 5 times as long doing it over text. Also, tone is always hard to convey over text, no matter how many emojis you use. Sometimes it's better to just use a real-time means of communication to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings. I feel texting is frustrating at times. Many people read but don't have excellent reading comprehension. Also, it's difficult to convey emotion. Lastly, I fit the Puerto Rican stereotype and can say everything I need quickly. It's always my crazy impulsive friends, dude. I'll be in the city tomorrow and we should party it up. Hit some bars and chat up some ladies, then just crash at your place. Also, you should start a company. I can guide you through the process. I know a lawyer. Jesus Christ, Gavin. Wait, do people not like that? Can't tell if this is sarcastic, but no, many people don't like it. I want to hear your voice. I don't expect you to pick up, and I will never leave a voicemail. Tone is 95% of the conversation. What are you too busy doing? Browsing Reddit. I am autist and I can't understand the context if I don't hear the intonation when it says. Old school simplicity. Texting can be annoying sometimes. Calls can achieve so much more in far less time, with far less opportunity for ambiguity. Well, in text sometimes you can't convey your emotions properly, as a single sentence can have multiple meaning. In calls you can clearly understand the tone, which is a big benefit. I have seen a lot of people get in misunderstandings cause of texts. I communicate with people to get answers. If the conversation is not pertinent to my current life, it is handled over text whenever we both get to it. If I need answers quickly, I will call you until I get said answers. Those people like to give us non-calling people anxiety. That's why. A number of reasons. Texts don't have the vocal inflections and have a far more limited ability to transmit information in our communications, leading to miscommunication. The voice carries more data than just words we speak. There are inflections and tones and pacing and such that allow more information to be transmitted. Emotes do not solve that problem. Texting is so much slower than just talking to someone. Texts are easy to use against someone and provide a trail that is easier to follow compared to a voice call if courts or lawyers need to be involved. Texts and impersonal communication methods that don't have people interacting directly also don't give you an idea of a person's actual intelligence and personality, because you can take hours to compose and respond to a text. Texts are not a good method of communication if something is time-sensitive, faster, clearer, and more efficient. Don't respond to texts because it's faster and more accurate. As a tech support guy, I try to get into WebExes as soon as possible to eliminate confusion and speed up problem resolution. I can send out a quick text virtually anywhere. I need to set aside time to place a phone call. I'm too lazy to type on my phone, and I tend to make lots of typing mistakes. Talking is way faster, easier, and effective. Just grow up. And just grow up. You know, pretty much all businesses are based on a form of texting as their primary form of communication. So I know I have their attention. You'd be surprised. I don't call as much as I want, but it's easier to explain and say what you got to say. It's faster for a response. People are less likely to be able to hide some things, their voice or word choice. Gotta make sure I'm clear. Sometimes I just want to hear the sound of my friends' and family's voices. Especially when everyone is trying to stay at home. Sometimes just sharing a laugh over the phone does more than a text. I spend too much time thinking before I send a text, so ongoing text conversations just don't happen with me. I'm surprisingly decent over the phone though. If I call someone instead of text, it's because I want to hear their tone of voice and not try to make out secret messages from their text with 5 emojis that don't seem even somewhat related to each other. I can call and have a conversation with someone in my 40-minute drive home from work. I work long days. It helps me keep up with people's lives when I can't do anything else but drive, and then I have time when I get home to do other things. Win-win. I want to get the whole conversation done and over with. Beep waiting for a response when you can call and get the plans and a verbal I can or can't in, like 5 minutes instead of over the entire day.